Many times in the second treatise, Locke stresses that the primary purpose of government is to protect property.
The great and chief end of men's uniting into commonwealths and putting themselves under government is the preservation of their property.
Today, the word property suggests something that is owned, such as a house or a car. But during the 17th and 18th centuries, the word property conveyed a broader meaning. Then, it frequently referred not to an object, but to a right to use and dispose of something. Thus, instead of saying, "This house is my property," a 17th century writer might say, "I have a property in this house." The philosopher William Wollaston, writing in the early 1700s, summarized this widely held approach to property.
To have the property of anything, and to have the sole right of using and disposing of it, are the same thing. They are equivalent expressions.
This broad conception of property led many 17th and 18th century philosophers to speak of property in one's life, property in one's liberty, property in one's estate, and so forth. James Madison, the father of America's Constitution, referred to property in one's opinions and the free communication of them, property in one's religious opinions, property in the safety and liberty of one's person, property in the free use of one's faculties, and property in one's time. John Locke normally uses the word property to denote a right to one's life, liberty, and estate. This passage is typical.
Man, being born, as has been proved, with a title to perfect freedom, and an uncontrolled enjoyment of all the rights and privileges of the law of nature, equally with any other man or number of men in the world, hath by nature a power to preserve his property, that is, his life, liberty, and estate, against the injuries and attempts of other men.
The word estate, as used in this passage, signifies material possessions, including land. Thus, when Locke says government should protect property, he means government should protect the rights to life, liberty, and material goods. This brings us to Locke's justification of private property, where we find some of the most influential arguments in the history of political theory.